Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral.
Hey, friend. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy. And if you're a fellow God-centered solopreneur and you are so ready to manifest a better life, and you're done with overthinking, you're done with overwhelm, and you're ready to really step into all that you have been created to be and to do and to have, you are in the right place. Now, today we're going to talk about some self-sabotaging behavior that I personally have been going through lately, specifically when it comes to taking care of myself. And this could be applied to taking care of your business, taking care of your relationships. It really doesn't matter. But what I want to do is get really raw with you, really authentic with you and vulnerable, and tell you kind of where I've been stuck and help you to learn the things that I've had to remind myself of that have helped me get unstuck in this space. All right. So, little backstory. I was sitting in my hot tub with a really good friend of mine recently, and this woman is just an amazing inspiration to me. She is about my age. She has figured out how to really work with God to get in the best shape of her life. She looks fantastic. She's eating well. She's exercising. She looks great. I, on the other hand, I feel like I joke around like I have an allergy to working out. Like I just do not take care of myself. In fact, I had another conversation with a good friend of mine who came over and we were working alongside of each other just for some company. And she's like, I don't know how you do it, but you are always just producing, you're getting things done. You do what you said you were going to do. Like, I just am in awe of you. Like you're making it happen. And I was like, thank you. And I really am struggling putting that same drive, that same accomplishment, that same theory to taking care of my body. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I really, really need to start putting some effort into this. And I feel like God has really done a great job of helping me to relate to the struggles that my clients have when it comes to like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't want to do it. It's not happening because it's real, right? And the thing is that I can help you to manifest with God. I can help you to see things that you want to see come to fruition. That happens with your body, with your business, with your time freedom, with your relationships, all of those things. But the manifestation equation requires that you get into action. I cannot sit here and no matter how much visualization I do, I'm never going to have the rock solid legs that I want or the butt that like doesn't look like a mom butt, right? And so you have to get into action. And if you're not doing that part of the equation, you're not going to see the results. And I want all of us to see the results that you are having on your heart, the desires that God has placed on your heart. And I want you to stop getting in your own way, just like I've been getting in my way. So here's the deal. Like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I was really doing well when it comes to working out. I had finally found something that was working. It was the Oculus, and there was this really cool app in the Oculus called Supernatural. Fantastic. I was able to essentially box with this VR headset, and it was so much fun. I could pick the tunes I wanted. I had this bet going with my friend that if I didn't work out 3 days a week, I owed her $10, and the same with her. So that was actually really working. And then I had surgery. And I got off my normal routine, and it's been really, really hard to get myself back into motion. And the same goes with my water. I was doing really, really well. And then something happened and I stopped drinking my water. And it's like, okay, I know I need to drink it, but I don't want to have to like, it's so stinking silly. Like, I don't want to have to cut the lemon. I don't want to have to fill it up. And it's so funny because I find myself like literally just full of all the butts, right? All the big butts. And I'm not talking about the big butts, when it comes to working out. I'm talking about the big butts that it comes to excuses. I call them beliefs underestimating truths. It's what I believe that's true, but it's not really true. It is actually sabotaging my success. All right. So here are some of my butts when it comes to working out. I don't have the time. But the truth is that if I really wanted to get up a little bit earlier, I could probably do it, right? The excuses that I have is I don't have the energy, but objects in motion stay in motion. So if I could just get up and start doing something for 1 minute, I would be able to get some more energy, right? I don't like it. And that's true. Like working out has never been this huge like cup filler for me. My husband, amazing. He gets up at 6 a.m. every day. He goes on a jog on the treadmill. He says he feels amazing when he's done. The whole endorphins thing that supposedly happens with those runners high, I've never experienced. In fact, I joke that I literally want to just like throw up and take a nap afterwards. Like I don't feel good. And so it's hard for me to find something that I really love, but that's an excuse because I could find things that, associated with a really good playlist of mine or do it with friends. Like there are things that I could do, but I have to just acknowledge them, right? Another thing that I see a lot with myself is that I feel like I don't feel any different. Like I don't necessarily see results right away, or I don't feel better. I don't feel like I have more energy. Just like I said, I want to just like crawl on a couch and take a nap and, and throw up afterwards. And it's really hard for me to want to keep doing things. And so I'm also, though, not training my brain to look for things that I notice that make me feel better. Instead, I literally am only seeing what I believe, which is I don't like working out. It doesn't work. I don't feel good. So therefore, I'm going to only notice the things that are associated with that belief instead of looking for things that are like, okay, yeah, I actually did sleep better last night. Yeah, I actually did have a little bit more fullness when I didn't eat as much, or whatever the case may be. So looking for ways to justify why I feel better, right? Train your brain that way. And another excuse that I have a lot is that it's not going to work anyway. And I found that this was not something that I had experienced in solitude. I think a lot of my clients are like, oh, why bother? Why bother posting on social media when nobody's even going to interact with it? Why bother with these reach outs? Why bother with this live launch? Why bother with this workout? It's not going to work anyway. And that is so huge because if we don't believe that our efforts are going to be able to pay off eventually, it's going to be really hard for us to show up, especially when we don't feel like it. And so what I want to do today is to talk to you a little bit about some things that I have found that work, that I've had to re-engage myself with because it does work in order to start taking care of myself. And I want you guys to be able to apply this to anything, whether it be your physical body, whether it be your business, whether it be your relationships. Any of these things can help with some of the tips that I'm going to give you. Okay. Now, I want to just acknowledge something that I've already mentioned once, but I want to dive in a little bit deeper. And that's the topic of momentum. So my joke has been like, oh, I was really good at working out until Thanksgiving 3 years ago. Like I was consistent, and then the holiday came and I stopped my routine and I, overindulged, and then I just like never picked it back up again. Right. I think that happens to a lot of us. Like we're really good until I had surgery. I'm really good until I went away for the weekend or until vacation or whatever the case may be. And it's really, really hard for us to pick up where we left off because there is no momentum. Objects in motion stay in motion. And so when things are already moving along, right, it's easier for us to keep them moving versus having something stopped and to be able to get it going again. And so I want us to be able to acknowledge the fact that if we can at least start something and we can start where we are with what we have and can allow ourselves to just capitalize on that little bit of momentum, we're going to be able to get further than going balls to the walls, all or nothing, like what I usually do, and get caught up in things like then procrastination, perfectionism, and even fear of success. So let me, dive into those a little bit, okay? This is something that I see a lot with my clients, even with myself when it comes to some of the things that I'm talking about today. Procrastination is really just this coming up with all those buts, right? All of those excuses. And perfectionism is actually a sister to procrastination, which really stems from a fear of not getting it right. How many of you have done this where you're like, okay, well, I will start working out when I get that new workout video or the yoga mat or the new shoes or the outfits. I need to run to TJ Maxx and get some cute outfits, right? And so you allow all of these excuses, these buts, to push off what you want to start. Maybe it's, I don't think that I'm doing my form right. So I'm just going to wait until I can do it with a friend, or I'm going to wait until I can get this specific piece of equipment, or I'm going to wait till whatever. When really it can take, 1 minute of doing something, 1 minute, and it can get that ball rolling. And so therefore you can start with from what, you have from where you are. I'm going to give you an example. When it comes to business, one of the things that I do, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, you get these messages on your birthday every single year. It is a happy birthday message for me. It takes me a whopping 20 seconds to send a birthday message, but I have the highest energy that I possibly can because I want people to feel loved and appreciated. And so it's like, hey, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you today on your birthday, blah, blah, blah. So I might send a couple of those and it takes me 2 minutes. But guess what? I started in action. I got into my inboxes. I started blessing people, started getting my vibe raising up. And then now I'm ready to hit the dang things that I don't necessarily want to do. Same with working out. If I can just get myself to do 2 sit-ups, that takes what, 30 seconds? Now I'm up and I'm doing something and I'm moving my body, and guess what's going to happen? I'm going to start to do more. Oh, I bet I can do 10. I bet I can do 15. But allowing myself to start that momentum is going to get me into action. The other thing that I really want to be able to identify here and acknowledge is this fear of success. I see this a lot with clients, and I saw this with myself. Now, the thing about the fear of success is that oftentimes this particular block will actually be relatively hidden. Like we don't even realize we're doing it. And what I find so interesting is that some of these fears can actually be things that we inherited from our ancestors. I have this really cool technique that I use with my one-on-one clients called the E4 trauma method. And what I do is I'm able to identify the actual root cause of a limiting belief. And then I'm able to neutralize it energetically and then replace it with essentially the seed of truth. Like, what is the truth, so that we can allow neuroplasticity, our brain, to start acknowledging this new truth instead of the crappy weed, the lie that was planted there that are holding us back. Okay. I have had so many amazing sessions with clients of mine that had actually inherited limiting beliefs from a grandparent or a great grandparent. It's so fascinating, the data that's out there now, that beliefs, subconscious beliefs, energetic blocks are all also passed down in our genetic code, and that we can actually identify and neutralize or pluck out that weed and replace it with truth to not only heal ourselves, but heal our ancestors energetically and our offspring energetically. It's so fascinating, but we might not even realize that we have this going on. So let me give you a couple of examples. Maybe you are afraid that if you lose weight, your husband is not going to find you attractive anymore. And therefore you're worried about your marriage. So therefore you don't want to actually lose the weight. What if you fear that it's lonely at the top? And if you become successful or you hit this goal, all of your friends are going to say, oh, she doesn't, she's not one of us anymore. And you're going to be alone and it's not worth it. Right? Maybe you're fearing hitting your goal of weight or business or whatever the case may be. But then you have this fear of being able to maintain it. Like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to lose this weight because now I have to stay that weight, or I don't want to earn that $1 million business because now I have to keep that $1 million business. And so we literally make excuses or decisions that sabotage our ability to actually see them come to fruition. And so we allow procrastination, perfectionism, and excuses, the buts, to come in and creep in instead of just showing up and doing what the dang thing is. All right. So if that is you, if you're like, oh my gosh, I can totally relate to this. Like, you're not alone. I get you. Like, I get inside your head. And I know that we got this together. Okay. So one of the things that I've had to acknowledge in this, like, introspection of like, okay, Lachelle, it is definitely time for me to get back into the routine of working out, get back into the routine of drinking my water and stuff. It's that I had to be brave enough, courageous enough to start looking at my numbers, to start looking at the data, to start looking at where I am and have the clarity of what I want. So let me give you a couple of examples. Okay. as a creative person, as somebody that is more of a vision caster, big picture thinker, I get bored with the details and the data and the numbers and all the things. Like, ugh, right? Thank God I have Jamie because she's amazing and she keeps track of all that stuff for me. But the reality is that if I don't see it, if I don't acknowledge it, then I don't know where I'm at. And if I don't know where I'm at, then how in the heck am I going to be able to keep going and knowing that I'm going in the right direction? So I had to, after this conversation with my friend in the hot tub, like pony up, get on the dang scale that I had not been on for a long time. And unfortunately, like it was not a pretty picture, but now I know. Now I know, and I know where I'm starting, and now I know what I have to do. I also took time to measure myself because, like, if I don't know where I'm starting, it's really hard for me to see progress. And that's one of the things that I struggle with is that if I don't see that the hard work that I'm doing is worth it, if it's not working, then I don't want to do it. And it's like, why bother, right? But you can't know if it's working if you don't know where you started. Same goes with my, Instagram following. So that has not been a priority of mine ever. Like I just have always allowed Facebook to naturally or automatically post into Instagram. Never really been a thing for me. But I decided this year was going to be different. I decided that I was going to actually put some effort towards it. In order for me to do that, I had to measure how many followers I have. I had to look at, okay, how many people am I following? I had to look at some of the data so that I have an objective piece of information in which to guide me to know that I'm on the right track. And even though I don't love looking at that stuff, I had to literally look and then write it down. It's on the vision or the dry erase board in my office right in front of me so that I can look at it. That motivates me. That motivates me to say, okay, Lachelle, like you're in the right direction. Like, yes, maybe you're not at 100,000 followers. That's okay. But look at where you started and where you are now. Same goes for my weight. Am I, rocking my body that I had when I was 22? Like, nope. But if I'm doing the things consistently and I'm starting to see some changes, I will at least start to be like, okay, well, it's moving in the right direction. And when we measure things like that, we can actually look at it and say, okay, this is working. This isn't working. Maybe I can make some adjustments. Maybe I just need to be patient. But we have to face it, guys. We have to face what we're wanting to change. And then we have to know what it is that we want. What is the goal that you're trying to achieve? What is it that you're trying to shoot for? Because again, the universe cannot work with vagueness. And so if you're like, I just want better, well, what is better? Like, how many followers do you want? What do you want to weigh? What size of clothes do you want to wear? Do you want to be able to get through the day without a nap? Do you want to sleep through the night? What is it that you want? Because then you can allow that to motivate you and say, okay, I'm at, the halfway point and this is where I'm at. Maybe I can like beef up my effort a little bit. It's going to motivate me to put forth the little extra effort that's going to take to get me there. But if I don't know where I'm going, if I have this vague idea of what better is, but not an actual measurable outcome, it's going to be really hard for me to see the progress and to be able to keep going. All right. So I want you to identify some of that goal picture of what you want and know where you started from. All right. So in future episodes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into some of the basic science behind habits and how to allow the science of habits to help you build this momentum. One of the things that I love about habits specifically is that you don't have to succumb yourself to motivation. You don't have to wait until you're motivated. You don't have to be as influenced by your fears. You don't have to be as susceptible to the perfectionism and all the dang things that can get us in the way, right? Habits allow us to just show up automatically because we're on autopilot. Our subconscious mind is running on autopilot 90 to 95% of the time. That is the space in our brain that habits live. And when I can just show up and do things because it's just what I always do, let's just be real. We all have habits. Sometimes they're not good habits, right? Like maybe it's that, okay, I grab a can of beer in the summer when I go for a walk, right? Because it's nice out and it tastes good and whatever else. Like it's a habit. So I need to acknowledge that there are things that I'm doing that are good and there are habits that are not good. And I get to understand how habits can either be saboteurs or they can be actually the things that are getting me to where I want to go. And we're going to dive into some of that in the next episode, right? So I hope that you guys got something out of this. I hope, if anything, like my biggest goal for this episode was to help you know that you're not alone, that even though I might have written books on this crap and that I talk about it on my podcast, like I still struggle. And I have to remind myself of some of the things that I know to apply it in different parts of my life. And the true way to manifest the better life is to have a better version of me in all areas, not just finances, not just, relationships, not just my body, but all of the things together so that I can show up and be the best version of myself, so that I can allow myself to be the vehicle in which God uses to make the world a better place. And all of those things come together. And my last thought that I'm going to leave with you is something that my dear friend Sarah had, sent me a text message after our conversation in the hot tub. She said, Lachelle, have you ever taken time to ask God what you should do around the fitness goals that you have? What does He want for you? And what is He suggesting that you do? And that will help you to know that what you're planning on doing is in alignment with Him, and that you can have a better idea of what He wants for you. And oh my gosh, like that is so right on, because friend, our action part of the manifestation equation is inspired, aligned action. It's inspired by spirit. It's aligned with what God knows is going to be best for me versus me just throwing spaghetti against the wall. So I'm going to ask all of us to take some time to pray and meditate on that, to ask Him to guide us on the thing that we're struggling with the most. What does He see for us? What does He want that end result to look like? And what are the best steps that He suggests that we do to get us there? All right. I hope you guys got something out of this, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.